Let me tell you about my Aunt Pearl. Down home in Alabama, before I was even born, that woman cooked for a whole sharecropping crew every harvest. Pots big enough to swim in, a table that never ended. And then the work dried up the way it did for so many of us, and Pearl packed 2 children and 1 cardboard suitcase and rode the train north to Chicago looking for something better. What she found was a 1-room apartment up 3 flights of stairs. No garden, no land, no field to glean from, and about $4 a week to feed 3 mouths. The fields were gone. Everything she'd known was gone. And do you know what? Those 2 children grew up strong and fed and never once went to bed with an empty belly. Because Pearl knew how to make a meal out of almost nothing. She survived on the very meals I'm about to give you. 15 of them. The cheapest food there ever was. The food that kept our people alive through the leanest times there were. My name is Thelma Carter. I'm 82 years old. Stay with me, because these are meals that ought never be forgotten. Now I want you to understand what this really was. This wasn't cooking for fun or for flavor first. This was cooking to survive, to stretch a single dollar until it begged for mercy. When the garden was gone and there was a 1-room apartment and $4 for the week, our mothers reached back into everything their own mothers had taught them. And here is the thing that ought to take your breath. It wasn't just filling. A lot of it was good for you. They knew which scraps held the most nourishment. That wasn't poverty. That was knowledge. Number 1, pot liquor and cornbread. When the greens were cooked, what was left was the most precious part. The pot liquor, where all the vitamins and iron had settled. Our mothers never poured it out. They crumbled cornbread right into a bowl of it, and that was supper. Cheap, filling, and so full of nourishment it kept children healthy through winters. Folks with money threw that juice away. Our people knew it was the best part. Grits cost pennies and filled the belly. The fatback gave it flavor and fat to keep you going. Number 2, fatback and grits. A little piece of fatback, the cheapest cut of the pig, fried down crisp, and a pot of grits to go with it. That was breakfast for a family of 8. Plain, hot, and it stuck with you till the sun went down. Mama made hoe cakes, just cornmeal and water, cooked flat on a hot griddle, the oldest bread our people knew. Number 3, hoe cakes and molasses, and over them a little molasses, that dark, cheap syrup that was sweet and full of iron both. Breakfast, supper was whatever it had to be. It cost almost nothing, and to a hungry child, it tasted like a blessing. Cooked with a little flour and grease into a tangy red gravy and poured over biscuits or over rice. Number 4, tomato gravy and biscuits. When the cupboard was near bare, a single can of tomatoes could feed the family. It came together out of almost nothing, and it warmed you through. This was the meal that proved our mothers could feed you out of an empty kitchen and still make it taste like care. Poke greens grew wild where nobody planted them. Number 5, poke salad, cooked the right way. Our people gathered them when money was shortest. But poke is poisonous if you cook it wrong. It must be boiled and drained. 2 and 3 times in fresh water each time. That's how the old folks always did it. Cooked right, then fried with grease, it fed families for free. Free food, real knowledge, don't ever skip the steps. Number 6, leftover rice made new. Not one grain ever got thrown out. Cold rice fried up with onion or cooked with milk and sugar into a sweet pudding. One pot became 3 meals. That was Mama's mind, always working, never wasting, always stretching. A cheap tin of sardines and a sleeve of crackers. That was a whole meal and a smart one. Number 7, sardines and crackers. Stay with me here. This is my little rehook. Those fish were packed with nourishment that kept a working body strong, and they cost almost nothing. If your people kept a tin of sardines in the cupboard for the lean days, put a 7 in those comments. Let me see you. Cornmeal cooked down soft into a mush. Number 8, fried corn mush, cornmeal mush, eaten hot with syrup for breakfast. Then whatever was left set up firm overnight, sliced and fried crisp the next morning. Not a spoonful wasted. 2 meals out of 1 cheap bag of cornmeal, the cheapest bag in the store, made to feed a family twice. Mashed navy beans baked into something rich and sweet. Number 9, bean pie. When there were beans, and there were near always beans, our people stretched them even into dessert. Spiced navy beans baked into a pie worth celebrating. It surprised everybody who tasted it for the first time. That was genius. Taking the plainest bean in the cupboard and turning it into something worth celebrating. Leftover collard greens, pressed between 2 slices of bread. Number 10, cold collard sandwiches. Here's my second rehook. The heart of it still coming. Drained greens pressed between bread. That was a working person's lunch. Wasted nothing. When there was no money for lunch meat, the greens from last night became today's sandwich. If you ever carried a green sandwich to school or work, drop me a 10 below. Chitlins cleaned long and careful. Number 11, chitterling stew. Chitlins, the parts thrown away by everybody else, cleaned long and careful, then stewed down with onion and pepper into something rich and warming. They took work, and Lord, they had a smell, but they fed a family for almost nothing and became a tradition, taking what was discarded and making it into something the whole family gathered around. Number 12, water bread and gravy. When it was truly down to nothing, no eggs, no milk, just flour and water and grease, our mothers could still put a hot meal on the table. It meant the children didn't go to bed hungry. There is no humbler meal on this list, and no prouder one, because it was made out of nearly nothing at all. Crisp bits left behind, stirred right into cornbread. Number 13, crackling bread. When a little fat was rendered down, the cracklings got stirred right into the batter, rich and crunchy. Nothing from that rendering got wasted. Even the leftover bits became part of the next good thing. A way to make plain cornbread into something special out of what most folks would have tossed. Potatoes and onion and water. Number 14, onion and potato soup. A few potatoes, an onion, and a little grease cooked into a soup that warmed a whole family for pennies a bowl. Simple food that felt like a hug. When there was almost nothing else, there was nearly always a potato and an onion, and that was enough to make something hot and filling. The one that ties the whole table together. Number 15. And the one that ties the whole table together. Nothing wasted, ever. Because the real secret behind all 14 is the 15th. In our mother's kitchens, not one thing ever went to waste. The pot liquor became a meal. The cold rice became 3. The fat scraps became the crackling bread. The greens became tomorrow's sandwich. Every single scrap was stretched and saved. That more than any one dish is what kept our people alive. The stretching, the saving, the wasting of nothing, the making of a way out of no way, standing in a near empty kitchen. Now let me tell you what all 15 of these truly were. They were my Aunt Pearl standing in a near empty kitchen with a house full of hungry children and refusing to let those children go without. They reached back into everything their own mothers had taught them, and they made survival itself into an act of love. They were proof that our people could keep one another alive through the very hardest times, with nothing in their hands but knowledge and will, and that knowledge fed generations. So don't you ever let anybody look down on this food or call it poor folks' food like it's something low. There is nothing low about a woman who could keep 2 children alive on $4 a week and send them out the door fed and standing tall. That was skill passed down through more hard generations than we can count. That was love that refused to quit. Our mothers made a way out of no way, over and over, and they did it with their heads held high. We remember these meals with pride because they are the reason so many of us are here. So tell me down in those comments, which of these did your family eat in the lean times? And which one did I leave out? I read every single one, and your memories bring back my own. And if this stayed with you, I did a whole video on the Depression era meals my own mother taught me, and another on the cheap dishes we begged for as children. I'll put one right up on your screen. Next time, I'll tell you about the gardens and the gleaning, how our people fed themselves off the land itself when there was no money at all, the old way, the way that kept us alive. I'm Thelma Carter. God bless.